Italian Mafia, also known as the Cosa Nostra, is a criminal organization that originated in Sicily, Italy, in the late 19th century. It is known for its involvement in various illegal activities, such as extortion, drug trafficking, and money laundering. The origins of the Mafia can be traced back to the 1860s, when Sicily was still under the rule of the Bourbon monarchy. At the time, the island was impoverished and underdeveloped, and the government was unable to provide basic services to its citizens. As a result, a culture of lawlessness and violence emerged, and local bandits began to extort money from wealthy landowners and merchants. Over time, these bandits evolved into organized criminal groups that became known as the Mafia. They developed a strict code of conduct and a hierarchical structure, with a boss at the top and soldiers at the bottom. In the early 20th century, the Mafia began to expand its operations beyond Sicily and into other parts of Italy, as well as the United States. It became involved in various illegal activities, such as bootlegging during Prohibition and labor racketeering during the Great Depression. During the mid-20th century, the Italian government launched a series of crackdowns on the Mafia, but it was not until the 1980s and 1990s that it began to seriously dismantle the organization. This was due in part to the work of anti-mafia prosecutors, such as Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino, who were assassinated by the Mafia in 1992. Today, the Mafia still exists, but it is much weaker than it once was. It continues to be involved in various illegal activities, but it faces stiff competition from other criminal organizations and law enforcement agencies. The Italian government's crackdown on the Mafia included a series of trials that exposed the organization's inner workings and its ties to politicians, business leaders, and even the Catholic Church. The most famous of these trials was the Maxi trial of 1986 to 1987, which resulted in the conviction of more than 340 Mafia members and their associates. In recent years, the Mafia has been weakened by a combination of factors, including increased law enforcement efforts, internal power struggles, and changing economic conditions. Some experts also point to a decline in the organization's traditional values, such as loyalty and respect, which has eroded its ability to maintain a cohesive structure. Despite its decline, the Mafia remains a powerful force in Italian society, with some estimates suggesting that it still controls as much as 10% of the country's gross domestic product. It also continues to be a major player in the international drug trade, as well as other illegal activities such as arms trafficking and human smuggling. It is worth noting that there are different branches of the Italian Mafia, such as the Camorra in Naples and the Ndrangheta in Calabria, which have their own distinct characteristics and areas of operation. In addition to its criminal activities, the Mafia has also had a significant impact on Italian culture and society. It has been romanticized in literature, film, and television, and its influence can be seen in everything from fashion to cuisine. However, it is important to remember that the Mafia is a criminal organization that has caused untold suffering and harm to countless people. It is responsible for countless murders, extortions, and other crimes, and its influence has had a corrosive effect on Italian society and politics. Efforts to combat the Mafia are ongoing, and law enforcement agencies both in Italy and around the world continue to work to dismantle the organization and bring its members to justice. However, the Mafia's long history and deep roots in Italian society mean that it remains a formidable foe, and the fight against organized crime is likely to continue for many years to come. It is important to note that the Mafia is not just a problem for Italy, but for many other countries around the world. Italian organized crime groups have established international networks that allow them to operate in multiple countries and engage in a wide range of criminal activities. For example, the Ndrangheta, one of the largest and most powerful mafia organizations in Italy, has been found to have a significant presence in countries such as Canada, Australia, and Germany. In these countries, the Ndrangheta is involved in various illegal activities, such as drug trafficking, money laundering, and extortion. The Mafia's international activities pose a serious threat to global security and stability, and efforts to combat organized crime must therefore be coordinated at the international level. Interpol and other international law enforcement agencies play a key role in this regard, working to identify and disrupt Mafia networks across borders. In addition to law enforcement efforts, addressing the root causes of organized crime is also important. This includes addressing poverty, inequality, and corruption, which create conditions that allow organized crime groups to thrive. I agree that efforts to combat the Mafia and other organized crime groups are ongoing and must be coordinated at the international level. In addition to law enforcement efforts, addressing the root causes of organized crime is also essential. Addressing poverty, inequality, and corruption is crucial in preventing the rise of organized crime groups, as these factors create conditions that allow them to thrive. Governments should focus on creating economic opportunities and reducing poverty to help prevent vulnerable communities from turning to organized crime for economic survival. In addition, governments must work to address corruption within their own institutions, as it allows organized crime groups to infiltrate and operate with impunity. This includes addressing corruption in law enforcement, judiciary, and politics. Finally, it is important to promote a culture of transparency, accountability, and respect for the rule of law. This includes ensuring that law enforcement agencies are adequately funded and staffed, and that they operate independently and free from political interference. Ultimately, the fight against organized crime requires a comprehensive approach that includes both law enforcement efforts and addressing the root causes of its rise. By working together at the international level and prioritizing efforts to combat organized crime, we can help ensure a safer and more just world for all.